Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Astachare Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki, Shri Radhashama Sundar ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Brihat Madanga ki, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Garanga, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Astachade Shatan. Hare Krishna. Hare Bo. Welcome, dear devotees, this evening. From far and near. Some of you have come all the way from Tamanyaro. Great distance, great austerity which you've undergone, to walk across the road and sit down on the floor or in a chair. And some of you have come even from Penang, all the way from Penang. Can you imagine? All the way. They've been walking for the last 1 month to reach here. Imagine if you had to walk wherever you were from. We sometimes think, oh, it's so difficult, you know. There's a traffic jam. I'm tired. I've been working all day. So far to go. But until recently, of course, there were horses. You could ride a horse. If you were lucky, rich people had horses. But most people had to walk thousands of kilometers 370 kilometers from Penang. Now if you walk 25 kilometers a day, that will take you about 15 days to get here at least, just to come here. And people still do that. In India today, what do they call it? In Maharashtra they walk to Pandharpur. Something, I've forgotten the name, they call it some name. And they walk there on special days. Even if they live 300 kilometers away, they walk. And they walk for weeks to get there for that festival or that Sangha. And we find it difficult to travel 200 meters from across the road to here. Can't be bothered. Or watch it online. Okay, now you have the, I don't know if it's live or not. Some places they show it live. And most of the devotees do not come to the temple. They stay at home and do other things and say watch it at the same time. And some are seriously watching. It's a very lazy age, very lazy. Even to come from there to here, you may have to come in your car. You get in your car at the bottom of the condominium, drive across here, be dropped off in front of the entrance there, and somebody goes and parks it for you. Sometimes we're very lazy. So we've been reading, reading also. The pastime of what? Who have we been hearing about? Who has been here should know. Who have we been hearing about from the Bhagavatam the last week? 2 evenings. Pardon? Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj. Now tomorrow, if Krishna allows, whoops, careful. He didn't kick it over, did he? You can beat him with a stick now to purify him. Hare Krishna. He didn't hear what I said. Tomorrow, if Krishna allows, we will have a little recap of the previous. And believe me, if I had time or if we were prepared in advance, we would really go deeply as we could, according to Prabhupada's mercy and the mercy of our acharyas, deeper into this topic. Everything is contained, really, within each and every pastime of the Bhagavatam. And as we started off in the very first session, highlighting the fact that this pastime of Dhruva Maharaj is very, very significant. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you probably know, with the devotees in general, not with his most confidential associates, but with devotees in general, he would focus a lot on the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. The reasons we will discuss tomorrow, Krishna willing. One of the reasons we mentioned already was when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he had to console his mother. Naturally, his mother was devastated when she realized what he was going to do. So he then told her the whole pastime of Dhruva Maharaj and his going to the forest. And he told it in such a way, you can read it, I think it's in Chaitanya Mangala, you can read it there, of how he consoled his mother through this pastime. Yes, because we all have to face this sooner or later. We all have to say goodbye, don't we? Goodbye, Mummy. Goodbye, Daddy. Goodbye, Dummy. Goodbye, Mummy. Whatever it is. Goodbye, Tummy. You have to say goodbye to it all, right? Whatever we've got, our car, our house, our dog, whatever you've got at home, our mobile, you can't take it with it. We can't take it with us, so we all have to look. We have to give it up. Man, woman, whoever we are. Like it or not, we have to give it up. So this pastime is definitely a significant pastime in that regards, that's for sure. But we'll hear more tomorrow, maybe. Let's see. This evening, we did discuss a few points, and we'll highlight those tomorrow if we get the chance. Only a few. There are unending points. We've just selected a few of the points, because you could spend your whole life going through it. You never reach the end. So this evening we're going to touch on 2 points from this pastime. Hari Bol! The day has been made. Hari Bol Singh Ashwar Prabhu. Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhi Devacha. Patinam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Did you bring the cows with you? He's just walked all the way from Lanchang to here with the cows and the bulls. He's been walking for 10 days to reach here on time. And tomorrow the day after tomorrow they're all flying to Madurai. Hare Krishna. Wonderful to see you after a long time. Hare Krishna. How are the boys and the girls, the mothers and fathers? Are they okay? The mothers and fathers are okay? They let you go. They let you go for a few days. Hare Krishna. So this evening we're going to try to look at 2 points from this pastime. One of the points Prabhupada says is basically the essential teaching of Dhruva Maharaj. And the other is perhaps the most important lesson that we have to learn from this. So we'll start where we start. It just happens to be, as I said, I've not really had the time or the position to really organize this the way I'd like to have done. But this is all from the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam to begin with, and then we're going to go to the 2nd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from chapter 8 of the 4th canto. It's text number 20, but you'll have a hard time finding it because it's in the purport. So I'm only going to run over it because it's the, you could say, the introduction to the subject matter. It's text number 20 of the 8th chapter, 4th canto. It's from the purport. So I can't say where, but it's in the purport. Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevyacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangam Mangayate Girim Yad Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we'll try to say a few words, and we hope that we can all take something to heart, at least tonight. So this purport, Prabhupada writes, to become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So 2 things are mentioned there. We'll be focusing tonight more perhaps on the first one of those 2, and then one other point which is related but not the same. And that will come up in a little while. That's just a preliminary verse, which is not a verse, a statement by Prabhupada. What did Prabhupada say? Who can more or less repeat what Prabhupada says in this purport? Anyone remember anything? What did we just read from Prabhupada? Anybody? Other than Indravali, she's from Philippines. People in the Philippines, they have memories. They have, they can remember everything that they ever hear. And anyone else remember what Prabhupada said? Indravali is from Manila, if you don't know. She's come all the way from Manila in the Philippines to be with us for a few days. Some of you have come from other parts of the country, maybe too. Slovakia, he's traveling with me now, of course. So what did Prabhupada say? Anybody else? Come on, you've got to be a little attentive to catch this. Otherwise, if we're not attentive, we may sit there gawking at the speaker and, whatever facial expressions are coming out. But the most important thing is not just to gawk or to talk or to walk or whatever other orcs you do, but it's to hear, isn't it? Hearing. And because otherwise, how can we repeat if we don't hear? Not that we're parrots, but we do have to pick up directions in our lives by hearing. No matter what Prabhupada says, whatever subject it is. This is an austerity, by the way, isn't it? Now, all of you have probably been to school, college, something like that. You have to hear, don't you? You may not like it, but if you want to pass, you have to listen. And you have to repeat. Is that not the case? Is it still the case, or has it changed? Still the case. So what to speak of spiritual life, which is alien to our present conditioning, we could say. It's not what we're used to hearing. You won't get what you may if that's what you want, but the purpose is not to fulfill our material desires, to hear some subject which tantalizes our senses. That's not the idea, is it? What's the purpose of hearing? Whilst we're on the subject, what's the purpose of hearing? Krishna Katha, or Krishna consciousness. What's the purpose? Anyone got an idea? The longer you wait, the harder it will be for you to remember the question I asked in the first place, what to speak of the answer. You're making it more and more difficult for yourself at every moment. What's the purpose of hearing? Anything? No purpose? Tyaga Chaitanya Prabhu, welcome. Wonderful to see you there. I heard you recovered more or less, as much as, well, maybe more. We hope you recover more from your sickness. But it's good to see you moving around reasonably well. Need a little stick to move. It's not surprising at our age. There's nothing unusual. Yes, Prabhu. Purification and transformation. Perfect. Thank you so much. Probably as good an answer as you could give. Transforming. Transforming what? Transforming what? They go together. I mean, purification is a preliminary, you could say. The result of purification, of course, it may transform in different ways. But let's look at the devotional side. The hearing process, according to Lord Chaitanya, what is the effect of correct hearing? It's not a difficult question. You just have to remember what Chaitanya Prabhu just said. Maybe that's easier than what I said. What did he say? Purification. Well done, Linda. You were so expert. Purification. Huh? What does that mean? You mean like you go to the shower or something and, you have no more body odor. When you hear the holy name, your body odor goes away? Or what does it mean? You don't have to wash your clothes anymore? You just chant Hare Krishna? What is that purification?
Purifying our consciousness.
Okay, well spoken. Purify our consciousness. What is consciousness? That's not an easy question, is it? What is consciousness? It's kind of almost a mystical question, isn't it? It's something that mystifies scientists also, and people in general, isn't it? What is it? From our perspective, I don't mean from some scientific waffle, but from our perspective, or Shastra's perspective, we say, what is it? Describe it in relationship, let's say, to this world. Let's stay within the realm of our experience. How would you say consciousness can be perceived or understood within our realm of existence? We're not going to the spiritual realm exactly, but within our realm. How would you describe consciousness?
Awareness.
Okay, that's a pretty good word, I'd say. Awareness. Huh? What else could you say? Pardon? Mind?
Mindset.
Mindset. It's related. It could be. But it would be a little different. There's a little difference between mind and consciousness. Yes, Shilabji. Huh? The what? You're thinking. You're thinking. Your thinking is up there. Huh? But is consciousness? Yes, we're conscious of what thoughts are there. But there's a difference between the thoughts and consciousness. You're conscious of the thoughts. You're conscious of your dream. You're conscious, I mean, how much is a relative thing, but you are conscious nonetheless of what's going on in your body to some extent. But there's something in between, isn't there? You and that which you're conscious of. So what is consciousness? It's kind of what you said, awareness. Can you use another word?
Self-realization.
Pardon? Huh?
Self-realization.
Self-realization. Self-realization.
Well, that's on a higher level, I suppose you could say. A dog is also conscious, but it may not be self-realized, generally.
What about knowledge?
Pardon?
Knowledge.
Knowledge is related, definitely related, depending on how we define knowledge. Anything else?
Our
Activities, it's not exactly consciousness, is it? You're conscious of them. There's a difference between being conscious of something and consciousness itself. It's like your spectacles. Now, what I see now is very blurred, and I will not be able to define it as we say it is. So I put my glasses on, and now are my glasses the actual, that which is seen? Are they what's seen or not? Now I can see you clearly, I can tell who you are. Without my glasses, at this point, I would not be able to tell very well who is who, especially if you're more than about 2 or 3 meters away. When I put them on, you become clear, and I can more or less tell, you know, is Siva Chaitanya sitting here, and you know, who is that? Lokabandhu has just arrived over there. I can see him in the back. What's he talking about? You may have perverted sight. If you've got normal sight, you can kind of recognize things a little bit within a certain range. It says what our perception is basically how the soul is a form of perception. Now that perception is perverted, or let's say it's directed in different ways according to what? It may not be pure. Perception is pure from the soul. It's like water in its essence is pure, but it becomes murky. It becomes, you know, it's supposed to be transparent, but it becomes cloudy or murky when mixed with something, and you can't see through it. You can't see through the air if there's too much fog or some soot or something. So it's the consciousness of the soul, the energy, the perception, how the soul is perceiving. It's the consciousness, and then that consciousness, that receptivity, which becomes awareness, is then polluted, you could say, or contaminated by what? Material nature. 3 modes of nature, right? According to one's karma and desire, we're all covered by different combinations of the 3 modes of nature, which come out in the form of various bodies with their various senses and their various brains, both gross and subtle coverings of the soul. And according to our karma, we're perceiving things a little differently, every one of us. Everyone. And thus you get all the problems you get in this world today, both within our own hearts as well as in relationship to others, because we all see it imperfectly. But we're not going to go down that channel any more than that. But the other point which you mentioned was transformation, right? So the Krishna consciousness, hearing Krishna Katha, hearing and following. Now, hearing is not just, it can be said to be, in of itself, a most purifying activity. But it is expected, when you hear directions to go anywhere, for instance, if you walk today from Penang, you need to know how to walk from Penang to here. We know you didn't, but anyway, if you did, you still have to have some direction, whatever it is, isn't it? Some form, whether it's knowledge of the sun's rising and setting and following a direction according to the compass, or whether it's asking people the way or looking at signs or something. You have to have some direction. If you want to reach your goal, you have to follow it, don't you? Is that correct? You may get somewhere else, but you won't go where your goal is. So when we hear, it's the same as materially speaking or spiritually speaking. If we hear from the right source, that is. Obviously, everybody wants to hear from the right source, whether it's material or spiritual, isn't it? Depending on what your goal is. So if you have a spiritual goal, we have to hear from somebody who knows what the spiritual goal is and knows the means to reach the spiritual goal, isn't it? It sounds to me like a little common sense. So, and if you want to reach that goal, then obviously the process is we have to follow what the path is to reach that goal, isn't it? Mahajana yena gataksapanta. We have to follow that path. Otherwise we won't get there. If you buy a ticket, some of you are flying to Madurai on Thursday, is that right, Singeshwar? The flight goes directly to Madurai? Or some other airport? Pardon? Trichy. And then you take a bus or something from there? Some other transport. What, 3 hours? Well, four. So 3 or 4 in this room are going, at least. I know that Shanti and Tatavit Prabhus are going, and you're going, and a few others are going, I heard too. Is that right? Anyone else going to Madurai? There's a few others anyway. Big gathering of disciples of His Holiness Jagataka Maharaj. So, okay, I've got a ticket. Here, I'll give you a ticket. This ticket is to Manila, but it didn't make much difference, really. You swap tickets, and, she's got one to Manila, okay? She can give you can swap tickets. But you won't get to where you want to go. It's a ticket. It's from the same source. But she has a different direction. We have to follow, if you want to go somewhere, you've got to have a ticket to go there, not somewhere else. So if we want to go back to Godhead, we have to have the right ticket, don't we? Now, there are different planes of Godhead, but if we want to go to Krishna, we have to have a ticket which leads to Krishna. Isn't it? So we have to hear, what is that ticket? And then you have to follow the process. Not exactly like a piece of paper, exactly, but it's a principle. We have to follow the process. So hearing must include following also to reach the goal. It may become purified a little bit by hearing, no doubt. But to reach the goal, we also have to follow the path, not just know the path or hear the path. We have to actually apply it in our lives. And that is this subject matter. This is called penance. It's penance. We may have our conscious coverings which see things differently. We try to mix our conditional perceptions into the path of devotional service. Each and every person tends to do this. The way I see it, we try to impose that on our Krishna conscious lives. That's not a penance. The penance is we don't follow that direction. We have to follow a different direction in life if we want to reach the goal. Otherwise we stay, and it takes a long, long time. Without that transformation, that's the transformation, takes place when we start to see things the way Krishna sees it, through the media of the disciplic succession. Not from our own logic and reason, Of course we use that, but that's not a perfect approach. Or from some analytical endeavor, or choosing various verses in scripture which fit our conditional perception. This is an extremely popular way of justifying one's so-called, behavior. You find a verse in the scriptures somewhere. I was very closely associated with a devotee who was somewhat impersonalistic, and they would find some abstruse verse, some verse somewhere or another which indicated that was the goal of life, and that was, they preach on that. But when asked to understand things with a proper vision, with their imperfect vision, we see things differently, as they say in Christianity. We both read the Bible day and night, whereas thou read black and I read white. Same statement, you see the same thing opposite. Because we're looking through different lenses. If you're long-sighted, short-sighted, whatever, you see the same thing differently. Exactly. And we'll argue over it, we'll fight over it. Because neither of us is seeing it properly. We're both imperfect perception. Imperfect. Our consciousness is covered, and we're seeing the objects of our vision differently. Whichever sense it is, ear, nose, tongue, whatever, we're seeing it and tasting it differently. This is nice, no, it's horrible. She's a nice girl, no, she's not. I love the heat, I hate the heat. I like sweets, I hate sweets. Are sweets love? Sweets just an object, it's not hate or love, it's the same thing for everyone. But one perceives it differently into the other. Because we have covered consciousness. So transformation of, let's say, it's a sort of ongoing thing, but as an ultimate thing, as we see everything in relation with Krishna from our present situation. We try to hear from Shastra how to do things. We hear, but primarily we have to hear from a self-realized soul. That's the primary way given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, to follow their instructions. Now that would vary. Now we're not going to get very far tonight if we carry on like this, because we haven't started yet, practically speaking, but it's related. And it's just such a big subject matter. It's basically the essential subject matter of our lives, that transformation of our consciousness, of how we see things, our perception of things. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, there's nothing to be changed in this world except for our perception, nothing else. Nothing wrong with the world, nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with the modes of nature, nothing wrong with the objects which you perceive. Is how we perceive it is the only problem. So Krishna consciousness, he said, means transformation. Transformation of our perception, this change in perception. And he said that is evoked by one thing, carefully, attentively hearing the transcendental sound, which includes applying it in our lives. To hear it carefully, the sound of the holy name is Krishna. You know we become contaminated. What causes our contamination? Come on. Why do we become contaminated? Let's give an example. You've had that fearful disease, COVID, right? You had it here in Malaysia. Now, what causes you to become infected by COVID? Pardon? What should you say? Close contact. Well, put it in another word, you could say association, okay? Is it? You associate with the virus usually through another person who's got it, right? Usually. Maybe there are other means, I don't know. But that's the usual method. You associate with it, and you become contaminated. Is that right, doctor? You see, confirmed by the authority here. She knows best. You have to refer everything to the authority. Yes. By associating with it, you can become contaminated or affected by it. Infected, affected, whatever you call it. So that's how it works. The soul becomes associated with the modes of nature and becomes affected. That's a big topic, we won't get into it, but that's the basic outline. You see, that same change takes place by the same process. The change or the transformation is also due to association. According to Lord Kapila Dev, we're reading here in the 4th canto, the previous canto, Lord Kapila Dev, he gives a very clear answer to how the living entity becomes entangled, how we become imperfect in our vision of chapter to read in the Bhagavatam, chapter 20, third canto, chapter 20. What is that called? Pardon? COVID? What do you say? What do you say? Pardon? What's that chapter called? Pardon? Some? Pardon? No. We're talking of Lord Kapila Dev's teachings. Yes, Tyaga. No, that's the glories of devotional service. It talks about the process of devotional service. And it starts primarily with one verse. After Mother Devahuti had submitted herself to Kapila as her guru, to guide her out of the darkness of ignorance, Lord Kapila Dev responds with a whole series of verses, but the key turning point is Prasangna Majaram Pasham. I don't know the whole verse off by heart. I used to, but I've forgotten it. But the translation of the English is, every learned man knows that the greatest entanglement for the living entity is our association with matter, with the material energy. That same tendency to associate, when transferred to the self-realized souls, is the cause of our freedom, cause of our liberation, whatever you want to call it, but freedom from bondage. One has to become freed of bondage. As long as we're entangled in this world, there's no question of entering the spiritual world. So the process, then he explains what that association is. Then he explains the effects of that association, and what it means to be in that association. So you have to apply that in our lives. It's like a medicine, isn't it? If you don't apply the medicine, you may have the medicine, but you have to take it, and you have to take it according to the what? Come on, you don't have to be a doctor to know this one. The prescription. I'm not a very good patient, by the way, but that's the normal procedure. You don't, if you have a bottle of something to cure you of some sickness, and they say take 3 tablets twice a day after meals or something, and you think, well, this is a 10-day course. What a waste of time. I'll just take the whole bottle all at once. Get done with it. You might get done with it, but that might be the end. So maybe no more meals after that. You solved it in one sense. That's like Mayavada. That's not our goal. You have to take the prescription. That's another austerity, isn't it? Following, see, there's material spiritual austerity there too. Every day, 16 rounds. No wonder what he said to me, Maharaj, it's okay if I chant like 120 rounds one day and I don't have to chant for the rest of the week, you know? What type of philosophy is that? You know? Another said, if I chant all my Gayatris when I get up, I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. It's missing the point, you know? You're completely missing the point. Completely missing it. It's a kind of a funny sentiment. It's not totally wrong, but it's not the right one, you know? It's a process that needs to be applied in every respect, you know? Same when you're looking after the cows, you don't just like feed them once a week, you know, say, eat this, you know, that's enough for 7 days, you greedy cow, you know. You don't do that. You feed them every day, right? You've got to feed them regularly, you know. Same with our devotion. It has to be at our stage, because we're not spontaneous, we're conditioned still. We've still got this imperfect perception. And the process of changing is to follow the process given by the Lord, to hear it and to apply it in our lives through the parampara disciple succession. This was Dhruva Maharaj's success. This was his success. Now I'm going to read something. I'm going to jump forward. We'll deal with the other one tomorrow. The other one is so important, Prabhupada says, it's the essence of this whole pastime. But we're going to jump forward a little bit here. Where's it gone? It's disappeared off the screen. Completely disappeared. Isn't that strange? Maybe it's further up. Let me see. Anyway, I'll find it if I look for the cantos, I think. Second canto. Maybe it wasn't saved. Here it is. Here it is. I didn't highlight it, that's what happened. So this is for now we're going to the second canto. Now, Prabhupada indicates this when discussing this pastime, that the importance of performing penance. Now, we're going to redefine penance in another way. It's almost the same. But penance is to follow the orders of the Lord, whatever they are. And that can start at any stage. It doesn't indicate pure devotional service necessarily. It indicates the path which leads to transformation and liberation and pure love of God, eventually. So even in Vedic system, there was a chance. Okay, I'm going to mention the other one because it's related. The Prabhupada says, this pastime of Dhruva Maharaj is proof that anyone coming from anywhere, at any stage of life, can engage in devotional service. There is no disqualification. But we have to find out what our qualification is and apply the necessary medicine. Just like if you're sick, you have to find out what your disease is and apply the necessary medicine, isn't it? Isn't that right, Shanti? If someone comes to you and says, I'm sick, you don't just grab any bottle, here's some medicine, take this. Right? In medicine, you know, you've got tonsillitis or something, he gives you malaria medicine or something. It's all the same, it's all medicine, what's the problem? Just take it all, go on, you'll be all right. It won't work. You've got to know what your disease is, where you're at. That's the Vedic system. Very important. I'm going to be doing that more tomorrow because it's really important. But that's the basic thing. It's a penance is to act according to one's condition, not according to someone else's. That's why we see, you know, the Kshatriyas, they don't seem to be very austere sometimes, right? Isn't it? They got many wives, palaces, living in opulence, worshipped by millions of people, powerful. What type of penance is that? Then you see the rishis, you know, living in the Himalayas, they've got nothing, they're not eating, hardly breathing, living in cold, freezing conditions with hardly any clothing on. Oh, that's a penance. But it may not be. It depends. Depends on their conditioning. One has to perform or act according to one's condition also. So Vedic society, that was a big, most important aspect of training in society, was to find out a person's. The same example can be given. One of you came from Penang, one came from Manila, one came from somewhere else, Klang. You know, we're all trying to come here, but you're in a different position, so you have to know the specific direction to get from there to here. It's not the same. The closer you get to here, you see the unity. You see the common denominator. You may end up exactly on the same path or very close and eventually you're on the same path. But at first it looks different because we're differently conditioned. So the process which brings different persons to the same goal, the transformation. So we see, everyone can see things from Krishna's perspective. Then there's unity. Then there's peace. Then there's satisfaction. And then we can see equally. All these secondary things manifest step by step when that transformation takes place. You have no enemies. You have no, materially speaking, specific friends. You have no enemies at all. The material energy is not that Maya is an enemy. It's not like that. But there are steps, like in education, for the child to gradually mature. So Varna Ashram was one of the essential structures to accommodate people's conditioning in such a way that it would facilitate a gradual transformation of consciousness or perception. Because you're following God's system, Chaturvanya Maya Shishtam Gunakama Vivagash. You're not following a man-made system, a conditioned system. You're following that given by the Lord for human beings. And that is a penance. That is a penance. It's hard to perform that penance in this day and age in a very meaningful or absolute way, because it's such a complicated age. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has given another process, not excluding that, by the way, but you could say predominantly the process is not Varnashram. Varnashram is there to support the predominant process, because we're also, what do you say, bewildered by the world around us. But what's the process he's given? Now that is a very difficult question. Who can answer that? Anybody? The process given by Lord Chaitanya. Very difficult question. What did he say? Does anyone remember? What is it? What was the process? Standing on your head underwater, isn't it? In the winter, in the snow. Was that what he said? No. Surrounding yourself by blazing fires. Was that what he said? No. Worshipping the deities all the time. Becoming a ritualistic Brahmin. That's the process. You know, we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's another big topic which comes up. Yes. What else did he say? No, he never said that. What did he say? Anybody know? What was that? Oh, he said chant and be happy. That's it, finished. Nothing else. Just chant anything and be happy. Chant fish and chips, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Me, you. Her, him. And be happy. What did he say? Be more specific. Does anyone know? Sham Sundari.
One should chant the names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in his face.
And what else? Oh no, will you stop there, because the next one is a chapter. What's the next one? More? Humbler. More humble than the straw in the street. And what else? Prabhupada said this was the formula, actually. You said this is what Lord Chaitanya gave. What's the other one? Lower than the straw in the street. More what? More tolerant than a tree. And? Pardon? Offer all respects to others. Freed of false pride. Now that was one of the first instructions his mother, his actual mother, gave to Dhruva. Before he went to the forest, she said, give up your envy. Give up this envy. If you want to attain the mercy of the Lord, give up envy. That was one of the first things she said to him. Of course, that's another topic, but it's a preliminary. So if we want to chant the holy name, if we want to perform this real penance, it's not a bad penance, as you said, it's chant and be happy. You can be happy, you don't have to be miserable when you chant. Why are you so happy? I got back from we had a very enlivening Harinam procession through Vrindavan many years ago. I got back to the Krishna Balaram temple with the party, and one senior devotee, was a sannyasi, very senior, said, what have you got to be so happy about around here? He said to me. He snarled in my face. What have you got to be so happy about around here? It just made me happier, actually, but what to do? You seemed to have some issue of some kind. I don't quite know what it was. Anyway. Yes, it is a happy process. Tushanti Churamanti Chur is joyful. So it's not like standing on your head for 50 million years, you know, or whatever yogis may try to do. But it's a joyful process. Isn't it joyful? Don't you like dancing and chanting? Does anyone here like to dance and chant? Hands up if you like to dance and chant. Not many. You don't like that? No? Pardon? That is what it means, dancing and chanting. Isn't it? I thought that's what it was. The definition of kirtan is dancing, chanting, and musical instruments. That's what it includes. Yeah. I mean, if you can't get into it, hard luck. But anyone who gets into it, it's good, isn't it, if you get into it? You forget all your woes. You forget all your enemies, which we think are enemies. They go away. It's joyful. It's a penance. So we put that as our primary activity. And then whatever supports that, everything, deity worship, and varnashram, whatever part it plays in our lives is essential, but It's to bring us to the point of really, really taking the medicine. It's like along with the medicine, there'd be a diet, isn't it? Usually there's a diet, isn't it, Dr. Shanti? You know, someone's got a fever, you don't tell them go home now and eat as much rasam as you can, do you? Take as many chilies as you can. This is the medicine, and eat 100 chilies an hour along with it. Probably not going to work. You've got to, you know, there's going to be a fasting or something going along with some diet. So it's like a diet, our lifestyle, a diet to help us to digest the medicine or to, you know, become absorbed in chanting, being more rightly situated according to our conditioning. And putting Krishna in the center. This is penance. So I'll read a few. Now this goes back, the beginning of the universe. This pastime goes back to the beginning of the universe indirectly. Because it was by Dhruva Maharaj's penance. What was his penance? Dhruva. What penance did he perform? He seemed to have a very materialistic approach to the whole affair, didn't he? What did he want? What was he after? Why did he go crying away from his stepmother and his father? Why did he go to his mother in angry state? Why? Pardon? Huh? Father's what? He wanted it. Father's love? Yeah, but what did how did that translate in his mind? Huh? What did he want? Kingdom. He wanted a kingdom. He was so angry that he'd been denied and insulted, basically, by his stepmother. Told him, you have no hope unless you're born in my womb. You should understand that. You're an unfortunate child. Obviously, you haven't worshipped Lord Narayan properly, she said. She gave him some right instructions as well. He took that to heart as well. His mother said, your stepmother's given you good advice, actually. But he was angry as, and he was determined. Like sometimes, you know, a child, when they don't get what they want, they become more determined than ever. They'll go to any extent to try to get what they want, practically. So he was determined. He didn't even know what it really was or what he was doing in one sense. He was just following his passion, his intensive desire to obtain a kingdom greater than his father, his grandfather, or his great-grandfather, even greater than Lord Brahma, who was his great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather, I can't remember the chronology, whatever, but one of his previous, not long before, previous preceptor. He wanted the greatest kingdom you could imagine. He was so, like children, sometimes like. So he was so determined, and his mother, you know, realizing the situation, said, well, only God can give you this. Your stepmother's right. So where will I find him? Well, I hear that saintly people go to the forest to find God. And he was off. I'm going to find God and get my kingdom, right? He was determined. So determination, tremendous determination. In fact, Dhruva, the very word Dhruva, means intensive determination. Very strong, one-pointed determination. So he went to the forest. And what did he do there? He was looking for God, obviously. So what did God do? What did Krishna do? What did he do? Come on. What did Krishna do? Did he? Huh? He sent Narada Muni there. Narada Muni is like the guru of the universe, isn't he? He goes everywhere. He's our primary guru, basically, in our parampara, Lord Brahma. But Narada Muni is the one who's the preacher. Lord Brahma is the preceptor, but he's basically the preacher of that truth in our line. So Narada Muni came, and what did Narada Muni do? What did he do when he saw Dhruva? Yes, Tyaga? Pardon? He tested him. What did he do? He gave him a piece of paper and a pen and asked him, you know, how many people live in Malaysia, and you know, how do you cook nasi lemak? And no, what type of test did he give him? What test did he give him? What was his test? I don't mean the details, the principle of the test. What was it for? Pardon? How serious or how determined he was? How determined he was. That your determination, our determination will be tested. It has to be tested. You know, we have to move past this conditional, or whatever you want to call it. It's an exceptional example. So what test did he give him? He tried to convince him what? How did he convince him what? Go back home, young boy. Go back home. Your father is crying his eyes out now. Even your stepmother is crying. Everyone's in total anxiety. He'll be head over heels to give you his kingdom now if you go back home. He realized his mistake. No, you should go back. You're a young boy. You're a Kshatriya. Don't you? Just depend upon Krishna. He'll give you everything you need. Just go back home. Follow the proper process of Varna Ashram. You're a Kshatriya. Go back. Well, you could say that's good advice. And I suppose many people would take that seriously. But he didn't. He didn't do it at all. He was absolutely determined. I didn't come to the forest for you to tell me to go back home again. You can go home, but I'm not. I'm going to stay here till I get what I want. He was very determined. So then what Narada Muni is seeing his intensive determination. It's so important, isn't it, in devotional service, determination. He wasn't at this point engaged in exact devotional service, but it transformed into that by the connection with Narada Muni. So what did Narada Muni tell him to do next? All right then. What did he tell him to do? Pardon? What did Shilavati say? Gave him directions how to get to Kuala Lumpur and sit on the banks of the river. Was it the Klang River? What do you call that river? Is it a river or a canal? The Klang River. Sit on the banks of the Klang River and I don't know what they do around here. No, where did he go? What directions did he give him? No, we've already finished with that. Now he's giving the second set of instruction. He rejected that. The spiritual master's business is to test the disciple, by the way. That's one of the main things in the relationship. So what did he do then once he passed that test? No, I'm not going to go back to the material path. So what did he tell him to do next? Pardon? Go down to the river Klang and chant Om Namo Namo. Not bad, you can do that. It's probably quite good, but that's not exactly what he said. What did he say? Go where? Yeah, where? Where? In Vrindavan. Where in Vrindavan? He told him to go to Vrindavan. Where? If you've been on Brajmandal Parikrama, you may remember. Actually, it's like the first forest we go to, usually. They were there the other day on Brajmandal Parikrama. Madhuvan, which is famous for this austerity of Dhruva Maharaj, performing penance. So he went to Madhuvan, and there, as you say, he chanted this mantra. He was given this 12-syllable mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I think it's a 12-syllable mantra to chant. Lord Brahma had an 18-syllable mantra. That's the Gopal mantra, actually. In his capacity was the Gopal mantra. We don't read it in the Bhagavatam, but it's inferred there. And he chanted that constantly, practically. He bathed in the river Jamuna 3 times daily, and he gradually stopped eating, drinking, even breathing. Isn't it? That was the penance which he underwent on the instruction of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. That is the penance, to follow the instruction of the spiritual master, ultimately Krishna. That is our penance. It is that penance, no matter what it is, which can lead to the goal, whatever the goal is. His goal was material to begin with, but by following akama sarvakamava moksha kama davadi, even if we have sarvakam, even if we're full of material desires, if we approach Krishna in the right way, through the right means, one can become purified of those imperfect motivations. Isn't this what devotional service means? Sarva upadi vinirmuktam. Who knows this verse? Tatpada vena nirmalam. One of the most important verses in our scriptures. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatpada vena nirmalam. Who knows it? Rishikena Rishikesha, Uktaseva Uchate. This is a definition of devotional service. By engaging our senses in the service of Krishna, whatever penance that is, given by the Guru, by engaging them like that, what happens? Gradually, step by step, what happens? Sarvupadi, what does that mean? Sarvupadi. All? Pardon? It can mean that, but it specifically means all designations, false designations, identifying ourselves with what we're not. In other words, the body or a particular kind of religious process or whatever it may be. I'm a this, I'm a that. It purifies us of false designation. This was another principle of Lord Chaitanya's preaching, wasn't it? Well, just chant Hare Krishna, he said that we also have this not the body and not a Brahmin shadow, rising above all this by the process of devotion. So sarvupadi vinirmukta means freed from, to become freed from these designations. Tatpadadvena nirmalam, the word nirmala you may know, it's a Sanskrit word, maybe you've heard it. What is nirmala? Some of you may have a name, some ladies have sometimes named nirmala. What does it mean? It means very pure, purified. Tatpadadvena nirmalam. One's heart or one's consciousness becomes very purified. Purified. And automatically there will be a change takes place. And you'll see things differently. Instead of seeing oneself in the center and the purpose of devotional services, we see it at this stage as to satisfy me. This is quite a common misconception. That we think devotional service is to satisfy my senses, to satisfy my mind, to satisfy me. At all costs, it has to satisfy me, otherwise I either give it up or change and chop or do this and that. We're missing the essential point. What's the essential point of devotional service? There's another famous verse, Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. What does that mean? It's the most famous verse in Nectar of Devotion. It's said to be the premise of the whole text. So what does that mean? Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. You need some. I know Tyagaditanya Prabhu, you've studied Prabhupada books very nicely, I know you have. But devotees are not learning these essential things. They're meeting with each other with their own conditionings and arguing and getting angry sometimes, becoming frustrated, becoming bewildered, because they're not hearing the right thing. And this is the essential verse, Rupa Goswami, Nectar of Devotion. How does it begin? Come on. Yabilasita. There, now they're getting it. We know the first word, the rest comes. We don't know what it means, but we know the verse. Anyabilasita shunyam gyana kamadinavatam anakulyena. So we're talking of this aspect. Anakulyena krishnanushilanam. What does that mean? What is anukul? Pratikul, anukul. What's anukul? Pardon? Pratikul, anukul. What is pratikul, anukul? What is that? They're Sanskrit words, but you may not know of it. They mean the opposite. One means favorable, one means unfavorable. Just like you take a knife, you can use the knife to slice a piece of bread to give somebody, Or you can use a knife to stick it in them, isn't it? Which you prefer? I've got a knife, which would you prefer? Or if you're a medical doctor, you may have to use the same knife for a medical operation, right? You're not using it to kill the patient, we hope. But somebody is, right? Someone else thinks this is to kill you. Someone else thinks this is to save you. Which is favorable? Is that too difficult a question? Which one of the two is favorable? Obviously to use it in a way that helps you, right? Satisfies you, brings you pleasure, whatever. The other one doesn't bring you pleasure. If someone comes and cuts your arm off with a knife, you're not going to feel greatly happy. Thank you so much. I'm glad I got rid of my arm at last. You're so kind. How much do I pay you for this? You know? Quite the opposite, right? It's unfavorable. Totally unfavorable. People do that. So the activity alone is not necessarily a definition of devotional service. There's also the attitude in which we work, the consciousness. So what is that consciousness? Anukulena, favorable to Krishna, pleasing to Krishna. Anukulena Krishna, Anushilena. We cultivate devotional service in a way which is pleasing to Krishna, not to ourselves. That's the difference between Krishnendriya and Atmendriya. We're living in Atmendriya right now. We're putting ourselves in the center. Devotional service means the process, the shilanam, the cultivation of putting Krishna in the center. Not easy, especially in this day and age. And that's why it's so important to have good association and to hear regularly. Very important. It's a big topic. So that's what happened here. He had Narada Muni's association. He gave him appropriate instructions for his determined goal. He took those instructions to heart and he followed them as his life and soul. And Prabhupada says this is the most important principle of progress, is to make the spiritual master's instruction your life and soul. Even if you don't have a realization of the goal, you may not even be clear on the goal, but you take the spiritual master's instruction for one's life and soul and apply that, and gradually our consciousness will become cleansed by the grace of Krishna. Shushusho Shuddhadanasya Vasudeva Katavacha. The Lord cleanses the heart. Srimvatam Sakata Krishna Punyashravik Vidyantak Stoyabhadrani. He cleanses our heart of all this pollution. And then we can see things a little clearly. Atak Shri Krishna Namvadi Nabhavadvayam Indri Sevam Mukhi Jivados Svayameva Spurachada. With our present conditioned senses, we cannot really see what's going on. We think we can, but we can't. The senses have to be purified, cleansed by the process of hearing and chanting from the right source, and then following it accordingly. So Dhruva Maharaj followed that, and this goes back. How did the creation of this universe take place? Does anyone know? What? A big bang, wasn't it? A big chunk went bang. Is that what it says in the Bhagavatam? Isn't that, I read it somewhere. Wasn't that in the Bhagavatam, in the second canto of the Bhagavatam? I thought there, Sukadeva Goswami told Parikshit Maharaj, the beginning of this universe was a big lump which went bang, and everything happened. Is that what he said? Oh no, it was the black hole, wasn't it? We talked about the black holes. How did he describe, well, not in detail, but in very brief, how did it come about? Who creates the universe? Krishna, secondary creator, Visharga, Lord Brahma, okay. How did he create the universe? Oh, according to Bhagavatam, according to Sukadeva, how did he do it? How did he do it? How did he create the universe? He went to university, right, and learned how to create universes. How did he create the universe? It must be university. It must be the place we learn how to make a universe, is it? How did he do it? Huh? Pardon? Tapa. Another word for penance is tapa. Sanskrit word for penance is tapa. Austerity. He performed austerity. What was his austerity? I mean, he was alone in a dark universe. Pretty scary. I must say, I wouldn't fancy being in that position. Maybe we were. It's a little bit by being in the womb, I suppose, in one sense. not exactly, but something, completely alone. Of course, there were other factors involved. He wasn't completely unconscious, he wasn't in total ignorance, but he wasn't in total knowledge either. But he already had this understanding he had to create the universe, but how to do it? He searched out, he realized that on his own he could do nothing. So he searched, he searched first for his own origin, which is natural. He went a long way, and maybe we could read, I'll read something. Okay, second canto. O King, so Sukadeva says, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma, because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma. And that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. So there's a few points there. Non-deceptive penance. He didn't have, in his case, he was not duplicitous in any way. He really wanted to achieve his purpose of creation in Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is not necessarily just a penance, it's a penance in Bhakti Yoga. He received instruction from the Lord. What did the Lord tell him? You already said it. He heard two syllables, ta, pa. But it's understood from Brahma Samhita and from other sources that he then was chanting the Gopal mantra, which you find in the Gayatri mantra. That was his mantra, which he was chanting. And this way, because he received it from the right source and non-duplicity served it, he didn't have another agenda. As long as we have other agendas in our chanting, we want liberation, we want freedom from sinful reactions, we want to feel good, we want to get a good position, we want to become God, or whatever it is, some, other alternative. I want to be this or that in the spiritual world. These are all, you could say, personal agendas which are not pure. He had no such thing. He just wanted to do his duty to the Lord. So he performed this in order to become empowered or eligible to perform his duty of creation. And because of that, then the Lord goes on. Prabhupada goes on. I'm going to read the next part. It's a little long. Time's flying by here. Let me see. Just like Narada Muni, Dhruva Maharaj, he went to the river, he performed his austerity, he also went down, searching out, and eventually the Lord gave him his mantra. When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. When he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed. This is every one of these verses has a whole class in of itself. But I'll move on without going to the problem. Executing Bhakti Yoga is exactly like sitting on the lotus sprouted out of the abdomen of the transcendental personality of Godhead. It's the same thing, executing Bhakti Yoga. It's the same thing. Krishna said, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance. He meditated, well, I don't know the exact figure, but it said, approximately 2 billion years by our times, that, at least. Quite a long time. Of course, in his life, that's not necessarily so long. I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with the desire for creation, because he was desiring to do what the Lord wanted, not what he wanted. The Lord wanted him to create. That was his role. We all have a role to play. We have to see what is our role. It may not be creation, it may be something else. It's a penance to apply ourselves to that which facilitates or enables us to perform that service. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics. In other words, those who choose their own penances, their own goals involved, and so on. But because Brahma was non-duplicitous, he only wanted to satisfy the Lord, he faithfully observed what the Lord had given him, he put it into practice, even without necessary a result. He had that firm faith, Yasyadevi Parabhakti Yatadeveta Tabu, implicit faith in the order of the Lord and the pure devotee. Thus he got the result. O sinless Brahma, You may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul. Krishna says, this is the Lord speaking to Brahma. It is my heart and soul. And therefore penance and I am non-different. So that's another aspect. When you follow, or we follow, the instructions of our spiritual master in a non-duplicitous way, we're associating with Krishna. It's non-different than Krishna. That way you become pure. O sinless Brahma, you may know from Prabhupada says, in execution of penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead. I must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. We undergo any amount of tribulation to fulfill our material desires, for degrees, for work, for family life, for anything, you name it. We'll undergo all kinds of tribulations. All for no result, basically. You lose them all. As we said in the beginning, you've got to leave them all behind. There's no value in it, in reality. But for devotional service, only if it satisfies me. In many cases. That austerity, that higher cause is not as easy as it sounds. It's again why I associate. One devotee was saying to me, I was talking to a devotee today, I can't remember who, talking about how difficult it was, in a situation which you're in, surrounded by materialistic people, perhaps all kinds of things which are not very directly related to Krishna, trying to become pure devotee. And how easy it is. It's very difficult, even in a temple, even now in most of our temples, it's very difficult for a new person to come and perform penance. A little bit, but not very deep. Because no one else is doing it. Everyone else is making their own schedule, their own program, their own, kind of everyone's independent. That doesn't really help us to become dependent on Krishna. We're depending on our own conditioning with a little bit of what we say. It's like decaffeinated coffee. It still tastes like coffee, but it's not exactly coffee. It's not exactly what we're here for. We still have a taste for the coffee. I say, oh no, I'm okay, I'm not drinking coffee. We're near beer. You're drinking near beer instead of beer. Now the vape, I've even seen devotees smoking vapes, saying there's nothing wrong, it's not a cigarette. You can justify anything, but it's not devotional service. It's not going to help us to advance in Krishna consciousness. Meat, what's this stuff? They have this near meat, what's it called? Veggie meat, huh? Veggie meat? Huh? Off meat? Mock meat. Mock meat. Mock meat. Okay, if you're not a vegetarian, it's a good start, If you're a vegetarian, you may have to go through that for a while, but you shouldn't adopt it as a permanent factor in your life, You may have to go through it, especially, Linda, you're from a Chinese background, so this is understandable, But for those who don't need to, it's like holding back a little bit, holding on to a taste of something which is not favorable. Well, what to do? So these things are there. We may have all these other kind of mixtures. How do we get onto that? Can't remember. Penance, back to Godhead. Yeah, we undergo all kinds of austerities. So you come to the temple and, those are not coming to the program. They're not chanting around, kirtans, look at me, no class. No one there for the class. Anyway, the person who's speaking doesn't know what they're talking about anyway, so no point going and, I haven't got time to read Prabhupada's books. I did that 15 years ago when I joined. I don't need to do it anymore. And, I hope there's some nice mock meat for lunch today. And if not, I'll go to the restaurant just on 20 meters away and get some there if they've got any. It's not easy to perform penance in such an atmosphere. Even if you come with that intention. The temple is supposed to be a place to facilitate people's penance, whatever level they're on. It's not that everyone's the same. So the penance for a person coming for the first time might be a little different. But that's what the temple's for, to provide them with direction so they can perform penance. Here comes our lorry driver. We met this morning in Sunway. We were in the car. Huh? Where's Uven? Is he here? Uven? Is he here? There he is. We were sat together in the car, and all of a sudden there was a honk honk. We were in a traffic jam in Sunway, and honk honk with lorry. I thought he was trying to get in front of us, and we weren't giving way, you know. I thought, oh my God, there's a lorry there. And I looked, and then I saw the window winding down on the lorry. I was expecting a fist to come out. Instead, here was Rajasham. Haribo! Haribo! Driving the lorry right next to us in the traffic jam, just in front of Sunway Hospital, practically, just before it on the highway there. Welcome. You just finished your truck driving? Long day, eh? Hare Krishna. Ipoh? You went to Ipoh? Wow, you went to Ipoh and back after that. Incredible. Yeah, so, you know, it's like if you go to a college to study architecture, let's say, and everyone's just sitting around talking about football and, you know, politics and so on. Say, okay, let's study language now, guys. I don't like this architecture. Let's just do language, okay? You're not going to get very far with your architectural study, are you? Nowhere. So that's the thing. Every place has its purpose, and the temple's purpose is really a spiritual upliftment of a haven. A haven. That's what it's meant to be. You know, we're all short of the mark, we know that. But it's difficult for people to perform that penance. When the temple's full of thriving and Singishwar, you can remember that, right? 30, 40 years ago, there were like 20 brahmacharis here, and everyone's like gung-ho. Do you remember that, Tiaga? A bunch of fanatics were here. You remember those fanatics who used to live here? No place to sleep, you know. You know, nothing to... No, you just eat whatever comes its way, and you're out on Sankirtan every day, and everyone has to get up in the morning, you know, even if you went to bed at 2:30 in the morning, you still had to be there for Mangalarti. It was like an atmosphere. You were like, well, Rashid was also there, picked up in a wave of, you know, it was fun. Prabhupada wrote to us, he said, for you it's just fun, although it's very austere. For you it's fun. Because we're all doing it together. It's necessary to get that association to perform penance. It was very difficult otherwise, on your own. Very difficult to do it. So there are different penances for different people. But one must undergo all types of tribulations so that even for mature prosperity, name and fame, one undergoes these things. Otherwise, no one can achieve their goal. Footballers, they train for years, day and night, how to become good. Musicians, they train 99% of the time. 1 hour a week they perform, the rest of the time they're training, practically, isn't it? So to become a doctor, I don't know how many years you have to study here and there, isn't it? So much you have to go through to achieve your goals. Why then would there not be severe type of penance for the perfection of devotional service? An easy-going life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Cannot go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity, therefore he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord. Just like 16 rounds. So many devotees have a problem. They've taken initiation with chanting 16 rounds. Is it really that difficult? You have no problem on your, you know, WhatsApp messages, your Facebooks. But 16 rounds, too difficult. Too difficult. Yeah. No penance. Following the 4 regulated principles. Is it really that difficult? Maybe. Maybe for some. That's okay. You're in a different... Everyone can engage in service. But, you know, whatever our penance is, we should try to apply it. And the order is received from the Lord, either directly or through a bona fide spiritual master, and to execute that order, however painstaking, is the severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success. Sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. Sure success. That might be the last verse. Yes, we'll finish there for tonight. So if we really want success, think about these things. We can't jump in the deep end straight away. But we have to see what our goal is and see what we can do to work towards that goal. Don't be content with something secondary. Understand what our ultimate goal in life is and see what is appropriate to help us to work towards that, under guidance and in best association we can get. And be ready for rectification. Be ready for the Lord to correct us through others. Don't react when somebody says, you know, you're this, you're that, you're doing it wrong. Take this, directly or indirectly, as the Lord speaking to you. Not that person who's got an issue with me. But see the Lord's hand working to help us to, let's say, get free of this false perception of the truth. To see things from His perspective. Change of consciousness. Transformation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So tomorrow His Holiness Bhakti Bhagavat Maharaj will be coming. He won't be giving class tomorrow. I'm planning to give class in the morning and the evening tomorrow. And after that, I think he will be going for the youth program. Then he'll be coming back here to give association after the youth program. He's here for about 2 weeks almost. Up to the 10th, so that's practically 2 weeks. Yes, it's more than 2 weeks, I think. At least 2 weeks. So there'll be plenty of chance to get his association. Don't miss the opportunity, whatever you do. Okay? If you all get the opportunity, please take advantage of it. Hare Krishna. Safe journey wherever you're going. If you're walking back to Penang tonight, don't go too fast. Okay? Are you swimming back to the Philippines? How are you getting back there? She hasn't got enough money for the ticket. If anyone can give her a little donation, she can buy it. Otherwise, she's got to swim. She's a good swimmer. Hare Krishna. Big austerity, huh? I tell you, serving in Manila is itself an austerity. Unless you're born there, then you think it's normal. But anyone from another place, it's an austerity. Isn't it? I mean, people coming from the West, Manila is about the most austere city in the world, practically, if you're coming from the West. Maybe not the most austere, but it's definitely austere. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi.